If you were to ask me which generation had the most forgettable starter Pokemon trio, I'd probably say Gen 5. Superior's probably my favorite of the bunch, but Emboar kinda just hideous to look at, and it being the third consecutive firefighting starter really rubbed fans the wrong way. And then there's Samurott, which just kinda doesn't have anything going for it. Of course, this is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but at least Google AI agrees with me. What's up everyone, Howler here, and for this episode of VGC Comedy, I decided to make a team using all three Unova starter Pokemon. The initial reaction to Emboar's new Mega Evolution wasn't the warmest, mostly because its ZA counterparts, Meganium and Feraligatr, both got brand new signature abilities, and Emboar got stuck with Mold Breaker. Despite that, I still think that Mega Emboar is a pretty unique Pokemon in that its offensive typing is obviously phenomenal, and it's surprisingly bulky with its extra base 45 points in special defense and its already super high HP stat. The ability to boost its defense and attack with bulk up makes it a real threat and hard to remove from the field if given the opportunity. It can keep itself healthy while dealing out damage with Drain Punch. It can do a surprising amount of damage with a non-stab Sucker Punch, and can deal massive damage with a stab, Flare Blitz, or Heat Crash. And then there's Samurott, which also got some new toys to play with thanks to the Legends series. It's now part Dark type, and its ability Sharpness means that its Night Slashes are going to be boosted to a base power of 105. On this team, I'm choosing to run Night Slash over its signature move Ceaseless Edge, because Night Slash is actually slightly more powerful, and it's 100% accurate, unlike Ceaseless Edge. We resist both of Basculegion's stabs, and we can outspeed it with our Choice Scarf and knock it out in one hit with a Night Slash. We also have Sacred Sword, which is boosted by Sharpness as well, and will hit the King Gambits 4 times super effectively, and hit the Archaludon super effectively. It doesn't care how many defense boosts Archaludon has, Sacred Sword will always deal damage to Archaludon as if it's at neutral defense. Now don't panic, we haven't forgotten about Superior, and we certainly haven't forgotten about the memes either. So it's about time I show you what this team was really designed to do. Now the Superior is going to set a light screen for its partner Orthworm, who is very physically defensive naturally, so we want to set the light screen to mitigate the special damage that it takes, but it's actually not going to take any damage on this turn at all, because their Mamoswine chooses to go for an Earthquake, which Orthworm is immune to, and it seems like so many people on the lower ladder especially forget that Orthworm cannot be hit by ground type attacks even though it's a steel type. Thanks to its Earth Eater ability. Not only that, but they choose to go for an Aurora Veil instead of a Blizzard with their Abomasnow. So their Superior is going to survive the turn as well. And now we are set up perfectly to carry out our strategy. And I guarantee you, you've never seen a Superior or Mousehold set quite like this.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
Wait a second. What the hell just happened? Well, you see, back in Regulation MA, the item Wide Lens wasn't available. So if you wanted to run Population Bomb Mousehold, there is a very high chance that you were going to miss and wouldn't get the full benefit out of the move. So I thought, well, what if Mousehold could use Coil, boost its attack and accuracy at the same time, so Population Bomb does more damage and always hits 10 times. Plus, it can hold a Silk Scarf for an even greater damage boost. I'm sure most of you are aware that the most premier Coil user in the format is Melodic, which uses coil to boost its defense and its accuracy so it can be really tanky and put things to sleep with hypnosis. But the problem with that is that Mousehold doesn't learn Psych Up, so it cannot easily copy Melodic's stat boosts. What it can do, however, is copy the move Coil itself by using Copycat. And that makes Serperior its most logical partner, because Serperior is base 113 speed and Mousehold is base 111 speed. So if I make my Serperior exactly 1 point faster than my max speed Mousehold, I can pretty much guarantee that Mousehold is always going to copycat Serperior's Coil. And that's the true story behind how this team came to be. Returning to the battle now, I shall remind you first that I like to play a lot of these matches on my Twitch channel at PlatinumHowler 14. So if you want to see some of these battles for VGC Comedy play out live, then head on over there, drop a follow, and maybe even join the Discord. Keep posted for when I play some of these games. Anyhow, they will now decide to set up the or to remove Serperior from the field, I should say. Our Coil defense boost is not enough to save us from that super effective Icicle Crash, but now we get to bring out our Emboar, which threatens both of these Pokemon for lots of damage. And we have our Coil boosted Mousehold to just click Population Bomb on neither of these things that resist it. However, I do kind of forget that they have Aurora Veil up, so I'm not doing as much damage to this Mamoswine as I thought. It also has the defense boost from the snow because it is an ice type. And so we're actually only going to hit 7 times instead of 10 times, which means that this Mamoswine is a Snow Cloak Mamoswine and has an evasion boost as well thanks to the snow and its ability. So in hindsight, maybe I could have double targeted the Mamoswine there to make sure I got a KO, because Abomasnow was not nearly as threatening offensively from this point in the game. They could have easily handled it next turn. But this Mamoswine, it's going to hang around on the field for a little bit longer. It's actually leftovers, it's not even the Bright Powder, so we should have a somewhat better chance of landing attacks on the Mamoswine. But now I figure, well, the Mamoswine probably should not be able to ever hit the Orthworm, right? Orthworm should be able to take all of its attacks extremely well. It can't Earthquake us, so I'm going to just focus down the opposite slot next to Mamoswine. We're going to Helping Hand Population Bomb, which is more than enough to take out that Snorlax through the Aurora Veil. Perhaps it looks like a little bit overkill, but when you see how little damage Mamoswine can do to my Orthworm, then you kind of understand the endgame that I'm going for here. I am slightly annoyed that they managed to crit our Mousehold, because we do have a defense boost that shouldn't have done nearly that much damage to our Mousehold. So it hurts Mousehold's ability to take further hits from the Mamoswine. But now the Hatterene's going to come out, and after seeing how much damage this Snorlax took, I was like, well, this Population Bomb is going to handle it easily. But they turn out to be Citrus Berry Hatterene, so now I'm kind of sweating, thinking that I might not get the KO.
It still killed through Aurora Veil! That was only 9 too, it wasn't even 10!
Oh yeah, I probably should have gone for the Helping Hands to make damn sure that I got that KO on the Hatterene.
Oh, you're the frickin' Snowcloak! Of course you are! I've been wanting to try this. The Snowcloak Mamoswine. And they're gonna forfeit. That was so perfect! That is exactly what I wanted to see.
So you've seen 5 out of the 6 Pokemon on this team to this point. Now it's about time that we introduce you to our final member, Mega Meowstic, which is actually just built more like a regular prankster Meowstic that just happens to have the ability to Mega Evolve. And the reason for this is because I realized that my team really did not want to go up against Sneasler. I had nothing to naturally outspeed it. I had really nothing to hit it super effectively, and just Superior gets Dire Clawed Mousehole, gets close combated, Earthworm gets close combated, Samurott gets close combated. So yeah, it was not a very good looking matchup. So I have this here, Meowstic, that is Prankster, but can also be flexed as a Mega Evolution to outspeed a Sneasler and hopefully one-hit KO it with a Psychic. So it's not really special attack invested, but it still does enough to bring that Glimmora down to its focus sash. And so we normally might go for a fake out on that first turn, but I don't want to be I don't want to allow the Whimsicott to encore me into a fake out. So I called an audible on this turn and went for the Psychic into the Glimmora as they got their Tailwind up. And now they're going to double up into the Meowstic to remove it, so I can't threaten any more big Psychics against their team. Little do they realize, the real threat on the field is this Population Bomb Silk Scarf Mousehole behind a Substitute that's going to remain behind a Substitute after I one-hit KO their Whimsicott, and I'm going to leave their Glimmora out on the field intentionally because I don't want the Toxic Spikes to be set up just yet. And you can see their team, they have a pretty decent looking team. They're going to bring in the Mega Charizard Y now. So for example, if they had led with their Mega Charizard Y, then you would have gone with Fake Out into their Charizard instead of the Psychic that we went with, because we're not going to just let Charizard Heat Wave our Earthworm before we can get the Shed Tail off, but we're not going to be able to do much to avoid Charizard getting a Heat Wave off of this turn. On this turn, the best thing we can do with our Earthworm is click Protect. And because our Meowstic set up the Gravity, what was hilarious about that turn actually is even though we're Prankster before we Mega Evolved, Meowstic traced Whimsicott's Prankster so it could set Gravity before it was double targeted and KO'd by the opponent. So now that we have Gravity up, we don't have an attack boost with our Mousehole, but we're still going to be able to hit all 10 of our Population Bombs guaranteed, and we don't need an attack boost, as you can see, to OHKO their Charizard. We OHKO them with 9 hits, one of them being a hit, so we should have guaranteed got the KO on them with the full 10 hits. But now they're going to bring out the Garchomp. And, well, how do we deal with the rough skin Garchomp if our strategy is to hit them 10 times before we KO them? Because each time we hit them with a Population Bomb, we'd be taking rough skin recoil, and we definitely don't want that. So here you can see what my plan is to deal with the Garchomp on the next turn. We're going to get a second Shed Tail off with the Earthworm. Earthworm, of course, has a phenomenal matchup against Garchomp, so that is some good synergy there, whereas we don't necessarily love facing Garchomp with, certainly not with our Mega Emboar either, that's just going to take big damage from an Earthquake. So we're very happy to see the Glimmora just go for a Spiky Shield there. We have a light screen up, remember? So actually, no, we don't have a light screen up, never mind. But the best thing they could have done with their Glimmora into our Earthworm was Power Gem. But you see here, the Glimmora is just going to drop to a Breaking Swipe, which is exactly what I was planning from the start of this game. I was hoping to leave it onto the field until I could get my Superior in a position to KO it with the Breaking Swipe. Now that the Toxic Spikes are up, I don't really care, because the only Pokemon in the back is Earthworm. It's a Steel type, and it's not going to get poisoned. So, Coil is not the only move that we can copycat with this Mousehole. we can go for Breaking Swipe ×2 into the Garchomp to drop its attack by 2 stages so that it's not really doing very much damage, it's not much of a threat, and Mousehold is only taking 1 round of Rough Skin recoil instead of 10. So this Garchomp is gonna die a very slow and painful death now. Although it will hang around for longer than I thought it would because of its Citrus Berry. And the even funnier thing is about Breaking Swipe, because it is a base 60 power move, Mousehold gets the benefit of the Technician power boost. Right? Of course, this is a Technician Mousehold, so when we land all 10 of our population bombs, it's essentially a 300 base power move, which is crazy to think about. And then Silk Scarf boost on top of that makes it a base 360 power move. And then we can also use base 90 power Breaking Swipes into Garchomps to reduce their attack, and so they're not doing as much damage to us. Then you see our last move with the Superior being a Leaf Blade to finish off the Garchomp, and we win the game with the most hilarious strategy against a pretty standard, very well-constructed meta team. So if you thought that was funny, well, you're in luck, because we have another Garchomp game for you here, although we're picking it up partway through. You can see the sun was up there to start, so we actually traded our Mousehold falling asleep.
And I boosted my accuracy and I still miss!
By Orangaru's Yawn. We traded that for getting a KO on their Charizard. And we've got a Coil boost up with our Superior, and which, of course, is a boost to our accuracy. Yet we still missed hitting the Garchomp, right? We missed a population bomb against their Snowcloak Mamoswine, and we also missed Breaking Swipe against their Garchomp twice! Despite Breaking Swipe being 100% accurate move, Mousehold missing a population bomb again is a little bit more understandable. It's only 90% accurate. A Breaking Swipe missing twice in a row is hilarious. Like, this Garchomp clearly has to be Broad Powder to dodge that attack 2 turns in a row. So we're gonna end up losing both Pokemon. And we're just down to now our Samurott and our Emboar, our fellow Unova starters. And now how are we going to beat this Garchomp? Well, I'm going to choose to ignore their Tyranitar because we did land the 2 Breaking Swipes with our Superior on their Tyranitar. So they are at -2 attack with their Tyranitar. So I'm just going to do whatever I possibly can to try to KO the Garchomp this turn. And that is go for a Sucker Punch into it. Tyranitar, you can protect all you want. You are not a threat at -2 attack right now. We're just going to double into the Garchomp. We land the Sucker Punch through their Sandvale Bright Powder shenanigans, and we land the Ice Beam. We don't have an accuracy boost on either of these 2 Pokemon, yet we land the attacks when we really needed to come through. Can you imagine if Garchomp had just dodged every single attack and it gets a huge Earthquake off there? Oh my god, that would have been a crushing defeat. But now, we're still not quite out of the woods yet because they have this Oranguru here that can threaten to put us to sleep. And of course, my Samurott is Choice Scarfed and locked into Ice Beam, so not going to be doing much damage to either of these Pokemon. But it is nice to have that Scarfed Ice Beam as insurance into Garchomps that we don't like facing with our... we don't necessarily like facing with our Mousehold. So this is actually a mixed Samurott. It's Naive Nature with minus Special Defense for that big powerful Ice Beam.
I like seeing this.
And by I like seeing this, I mean I like seeing this lead. I don't like seeing the rain matchup in particular. You'll see I have text Sunny Day onto my Prankster Meowstic specifically because I know the rain matchup sucks for us. And you'll see here I have both of my Mega Evolutions on the field, so I can bring I feel comfortable bringing both of them to any particular game and leaving one as non-Mega. Now, the Meowstic can function just fine as a non-Mega support Pokemon. But I also think that the Emboar can survive can function as a non-Mega Pokemon as well. If I choose to Mega my Meowstic because I'm facing a Sneasler, for example. But in this game, I am going to choose to Mega Evolve my Emboar. I will set up the sun, change their weather, so I can get a huge Flare Blitz off into the Meganium. I also Mega'd because I wanted that extra special defense point so I could take a hit from their 2 special attackers on the field easier. Maybe I could have survived like a combination of Earth Power or an Hurricane, or if they had gone for Hydro Pump, for example. But yeah, so we do get the KO on their Meganium, which is really the only damage that I have into Meganium, because I don't believe I brought Mousehold to this game, actually. Yeah, no, I don't think I did. Superior and Mousehold are sitting this one out. However, I'm now they get to bring their Basculegion in, and what I needed to do on this turn, even though I do a crap ton of damage to their Basculegion with Sucker Punch, what I needed to do to have any chance to still win this game was switch the Meowstic out to preserve it so I could set another Sunny Day later. Now that I've lost my weather control, I have nothing. There's nothing that I can do against the rain team. So my best play would have been to, I think it would have been to, I could have switched into either Samurott or Earthworm. Samurott, of course, resists, so definitely would have survived that last respects, but likely would have been to it KO'd. But I think the better play was actually to go into the Earthworm, because then the next turn I could Helping Hand Sucker Punch KO their Basculegion. And you see how much damage I did with just a regular Sucker Punch into them. If I brought in Earthworm to Helping Hand Sucker Punch, then I could have KO'd them, and they would have been down to just their Archaludon. And they then actually wouldn't have even been able to pivot in their Pelipper again. So they wouldn't have had any more rain up. They wouldn't have been able to a one-turn Electro Shot with their Archaludon. And yes, having Samurott is nice against Basculegion, Archaludon, but I can't beat them both at the same time, because I want it ideally locked into Night Slash to deal with the Basculegion, but I also want it locked into Sacred Sword to deal with the Archaludon. I can't be locked into both at the same time, so I have to choose Night Slash because I definitely cannot Sacred Sword and Archaludon. I know what they're going to do here. They're going to just bring in their Pelipper so they can Electroshot KO the Samurott. They still have Tailwind up, so they are outspeeding me. They are still outspeeding my Scarfed Samurott, and they just wipe me off the face of the earth with that Electroshot. And you'll see here how pitiful damage Earthworm does with Body Press, even though it has a super high defense stat. Body Press is not stab, and they had a +1 stamina boost, but even then I thought I might have had a chance to KO. And you see there, I did so little damage that even without it eating its Drowple Berry, I still wouldn't have KO'd that Archaludon. It was so fat on the physical side. Taking a closer look at our team now, you can see why we struggle so much into rain, and Archaludon in particular is because basically our entire team is physically attacking. The only special attack that we have on this team is Psychic from our Meowstic, and well, we're not a special attack invested Meowstic, and Archaludon resists the Psychic. So yeah, we just really don't have good damage into Archaludon, and I'm happy that I didn't get to face too many rain teams. I much prefer going up against the Charizards that Mousehold can just one-hit KO with Population Bomb. In regards to the individual sets, I'm not really sold on the Okaberry Superior. I think perhaps Yachi Berry would make more sense so that we could bring out the Superior in the Hail matchup. We'd feel more comfortable with it on the field, sitting in front of, say, an Abomasnow or Mamoswine. to maybe get our, allow it to stay on the field in front of those and then get our strategy off. Obviously, if we're running Coil, then we're not going to also have our Contrary as our ability, because we're using Coil to boost our stats, but if we had Contrary, we'd be using Coil to lower our stats, so we definitely don't want that. However, if you wanted to run your own Unova starter team, you could consider using Soak with Samurott combined with the Leaf Storm Superior, so you can actually deal with those Orchalodons a hell of a lot easier. I put Soak on this Samurott simply because I think it's funnier, but realistically I didn't really use it on this team. It probably should have just been Aqua Cutter for another strong stab physical attack on the Samurott that it could lock into. I mentioned running Bulk Up on the Emboar, but I chose to run Protect instead on this team because I wasn't really building around Mega Emboar. I think if you are going to run a Mega Emboar with Bulk Up and no Protect, you probably want some more dedicated screens support, more dedicated fake out support to make sure that it can't just get easily double targeted into. You could also run Heat Crash instead of Flare Blitz so that you're not taking that extra recoil and you're keeping your Bulk Up Mega Emboar healthier. I think if you're running Bulk Up, you definitely want to run Heat Crash over Flare Blitz. But again, on this team, I just wanted that consistent damage output. I didn't want the base power of Heat Crash to be fluctuating and affecting certain calcs. And if you actually use Emboar in non-Mega form with Reckless, the Reckless boosted Flare Blitz is doing more damage. Slightly more damage. It's only about 2 to 3% more. Say if something from Mega Emboar takes 60% minimum from Flare Blitz, then the Reckless boosted Flare Blitz might do a minimum of 62 or 63%, so it's just a very small increase in damage. Lastly, I'd like to draw your attention to Mousehold's attack stat. Yeah, we only have 3 stat points invested in attack. It has an attack stat of 98, and it's causing this much destruction? Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable. We can invest basically in max HP so that it can take more hits and stay on the field longer to get off even more population bombs because we are running the Silk Scarf item instead of the Wide Lens item. It just does so much damage to everything that you literally don't need any attack investment. It's hilarious. Okay, I've got 2 more games to show you before we wrap up this episode, and it turns out they're both going to be against Mega Lucario. Turns out this team is a secret beat up into justified Lucario strategy, as their Incineroar is going to parting shot out into their Lucario, and then they will proceed to beat up into the Lucario to give it +4 attacks, something that I definitely did not expect. And that's going to force me to adjust my game plan because, of course, on this turn, I was going for the Shed Tail with Earthworm to get the whole Mousehold strategy going. But now that this Lucario is on the field at +4 attack, I'm definitely going to have to bring in the Emboar instead behind the substitute that can immediately threaten this Lucario. Whereas this Mousehold, yeah, not going to be immediately threatening Lucario. Lucario also will outspeed the Mousehold. So we need this Emboar behind the sub. We can threaten the KO on it with either of our stabs. So I'm thinking the obvious play here is Lucario needs to protect, and the Fergaraf needs to attack into Emboar to break the substitute. So I'm going to protect Emboar, thinking that there's no other play here that makes sense. I will just protect Emboar, set up light screen so that they have a harder time breaking the substitute in subsequent turns. But they, I don't really know what they're thinking here. The Superior is not threatening their Lucario whatsoever, but they're going to decide to Helping Hand Drain Punch to wipe my Superior out. That doesn't make any sense. yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. But we still have our Emperor here behind a sub to threaten the Lucario next turn, so we'll see what we can do on the next turn, and hopefully we're still in decent shape. We are going to bring out the fourth worm again, or no, actually we brought out the mouse hold, never mind. So yeah, we'll just protect the mouse hold, so in case they decide to make the wrong target again. And we'll maybe level the Embor. I'm convinced that Drain Punch is going to be enough to knock it out. Like, yes, I'm behind a sub, I'm at full HP, I don't really need to, I could go for a Flare Blitz to just make damn sure that I get the KO on this Lucario. I mean, I was running a bulky Lucario when I used my beat-up strategy in the first episode of VGC Comedy, but yeah, I knew this was going to kill, so this is exactly why I don't understand their play from the previous turn, because I don't think it really needs any more explaining than that. But you'll see here they go for a Dazzling Gleam, so we've seen beat up Dazzling Gleam and Helping Hand from their Farigiraf, and presumably their last move is going to be the Trick Room, so they don't actually really have any way of damaging our Embor. Because of the Light Screen and Embor's incredible special defense, they don't even break Embor's Substitute with their Dazzling Gleam. So we're still in very, very good position with our Embor, thanks to our Orthworm shed-tailing into it now. So I do double target into the Primarina this turn, because I see that, well, Farigiraf's not much of a threat, but they do have the Trick Room, so now their Primarina is going to get to move first, and they are Liquid Voice, Hyper Voice, so they will get to hit through our Substitute. But here is something you don't really see very often, is Farigiraf getting hit by Sucker Punch. And that's Embor's Mold Breaker coming in handy, because we ignore Armor Tail. We ignore Farigiraf's ability thanks to Mold Breaker, so we can get a decent chunk off against it with the Sucker Punch. And once again, Farigiraf goes for a second Dazzling Gleam, and it still doesn't break Embor's sub.
Blind Population Bomb for the win!
There's a really hype moment, because we get 7 hits off with the Population Bomb to KO the Primarina, and we don't have any accuracy boosts with the mouse hold, so those were 90% chances that we needed to remove the Primarina from the field. We needed that KO because Primarina resists all of Embor's attacks, so really the only way we had of knocking out their Primarina was just banking on mouse hold hitting its population bombs there. And they're just gonna continue to ignore the Embor behind the Substitute? I guess maybe their whole plan was to just bring out Primarina and expect that the Hyper Voice would deal with the Embor and that they never needed to remove the Substitute, but here Embor is, still behind the Substitute, still doing big damage to everything else on the field, and yeah, they have to forfeit. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the genuine reactions splattered throughout this video from my Twitch stream. And there are plenty more to come from this game. Mousehold is not quite done landing clutch, unboosted population bombs. So we're starting this game partway through. Our Samurott is asleep because they have a Choice Scarf Vivian in the back with Sleep Powder that put us to sleep. At this turn we wake up. Unfortunately, we can't land the attack on the Dragapult because they protected. And Mousehold gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hits!
Oh my god!
8
that's
90%
crazy.
chances!
Not Citrus Berry, and we hit every attack!
Combined with the 7 90% chances from the previous battle, we're now at 15 connections in a row with no accuracy boost. The unfortunate part is they now get to bring out their Scarf Vivillon again and put Samurott right back to sleep, so we still can't KO the Dragapult. And, well, if Samurott stays asleep the rest of the game, we can't really hit the Dragapult because Household does have Bite, but that's not really doing very much damage with our 98 attack stat, of course. So yeah, I guess we can just go for a couple more population bombs and try to get this Vivian off the field. So we hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Unreal
6!
luck. Holy shit.
21 consecutive blind population bomb hits. This Mousehold is clutching it out for us in one of the only battles that we actually played with this team in Ultra Ball tier. But now that they bring out their Mega Lucario, that's going to outspeed the Mousehold. We desperately need Samurott to get a one-turn wake here to remove Dragapult from the field, or else this Dragapult's just going to beat us no matter what. We can't do anything about it. And luckily for us, we do get the one-turn wake with the Samurott. And I protect with my Mousehold here,
Nice.
even though I know that the Lucario is going after the Samurott. So I kind of waste a turn with my Mousehold here, but just like I said in the commentary, nothing felt good.
I mean, I knew they were going to
And
target Samurott.
yeah, I guess I'll just let the live commentary, unedited footage, carry us to the end of this video. Thank you all for watching.
However, if I outspeed their Lucario, I can copycat their close combat to knock them out. I don't, but now they're at -2 defense.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
Oh my god! The Mousehold game, everybody! Aren't we glad we played another one? That was the most epic win of all time! We hit like 15 population bombs and the most epic KO of Lucario you've ever seen in your life.